Unit 6 is all about volume for 3D solid figures, but we need to remember what surface area is so we do not get the two confused. So as a review, when we look at surface area, it is the sum of all of the sides when we talk about the faces in each area. Like I could find the area of one face of a perfect cube and multiply it by 6, that kind of thing. So the definition would be the sum of the areas of the faces of a solid figure. Sum meaning add. I know that multiplication is repeated addition, so I could, if I had a perfect cube, could multiply by 6. But in this case, this is a rectangular prism, and I'm going to label it. So I have a top, I have a bottom, I have a front, I have a back, and I have a left and I have a right. They are congruent. The cool part is I can find the area of 3 of those, like the top, the front, and the left, and still be able to find their area, total surface area. So things I like to do, I like to make a grid, a checklist, because I'm always afraid I'm going to forget. So I make a grid with my top, bottom, front, back, left, and right, and that's down in columns. And then I have columns labeled with the length and the width and the surface area, remembering that area is length times width. Once I multiply those, I add them together. Remember, in the definition it says the sum of the areas of the faces. So again, you can see length, width, and area. And in this, I can draw a multiplication symbol, an X, or I'm going to put the dot, and then an equals to area to remind myself to multiply. And just another reminder, top and bottom, they should be the same because they're congruent. Front and back should be the same because it's congruent. Same with right and left. If we were to look at these, I would take each of those and find the sum, or find the product, and then you could either multiply by 2 or add them together and then get my total at the bottom for all 6. And this is really referring to a rectangular prism. We don't deal with circles or anything like that, but we keep with this. So there's really 4 steps. I need to identify. So that's like, okay, well, here are each of the faces and here are the measurements. Then I need to find the area of each face. That's my length multiplied by my width. And then I need to add them all up. If you are someone that can do this in your head, great. I like to write everything down. And then, of course, we cannot forget to label our answer with units. If we don't label it with units, we'll really never know what we are measuring, especially knowing that surface area is units squared. So when I think of surface area, I think of wrapping a present. But when I think of volume, I'm thinking of what's inside. Like I think of a container or a box of rice, a box of cereal, that kind of thing. So this is the amount of space a 3D solid figure takes up. So I drew a rectangular prism down here. Now it's not a square because it's not totally even on all sides. Just like I'm going to preface with that. This is measured in cubic units because I'm measuring and multiplying my length, my width, and my height. So this might be inches cubed, centimeters cubed, yards cubed, cubic yards, cubic centimeters, that kind of thing. Sometimes it's nice to write down the formulas at the top. Volume equals length, multiplied by width, multiplied by height, just so you don't forget. I'm someone that has to have those reminders, and I use it just like in surface area as a checklist. Have I gone through and done the right thing? So looking at this, it has 4. This is 4 units. Count it 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 units across this way. So I could say this is the length. Now it's 3 units wide. 1, 2, 3. Never just kind of guess like, oh, well, it kind of looks like 4. This one wasn't. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 units in height. So using my formula, I can just line this up with my volume is my length multiplied by my width, which would be 4 multiplied by 3, which would then be 12. And then I would multiply that by my height, and it'd be 12 multiplied by 4, which should give me a volume of 48 units cubed. I am someone that also triple checks my work, just so I know, did I write the right thing or not? So I like to go through and just do left to right, 12 multiplied by 4, 48. If you had a missing variable, this would be a really good way to practice what we learned from Unit 5 in expressions and equations. Being able to find the volume of a prism or anything really gets you ready to move on to the next steps in math. Make sure you note that volume is always going to be cubed with a 3. Unfortunately, if you marked squared, it would be incorrect. And remember,